So, before we go on any great journey to find out what we can do with our lives, we need to know who we are. The way I got to know who I was through interacting with other people, just like most people. When I was a kid, I played sports. We played soccer because it was cheap. Hockey was really expensive. I lived in Vancouver, and people who play hockey in the big cities, they have money in their family because it's really expensive. But we played soccer. You need a pair of shin pads and cleats and a uniform, and there's a field from the school, and there you go. And I played midfield. Wasn't the greatest player. It was a community league. Wasn't that competitive. But my role was to supply the balls to the forwards so they could attack the goal. I had great crosses. I had sense for passing and seeing the play. I was terrible at shooting. I was not a forward. Moving on, when I was in high school, we had a great music program in my school, and I played a supporting trumpet role. I was not the soloist, I was not the lead trumpet player, but we had a combo when I was in grade 12. I arranged all the music, and I arranged all the little gigs we had to pay for a band trip, playing at a department store for a fashion show, playing for a restaurant. We made some money. The money went to the school, and the school let us put it towards a band trip to Edmonton, which was a great trip. Later on, I was in a fraternity at university, and I ran for president. And I wasn't president material. That was hard to take. But they liked me in a supporting role. They liked me teaching the guys how to sing in a singing festival, a competition that we won one year. They liked me doing small but important things that made everybody's lives better in the fraternity. And in return, I learned. So I've always been in a supporting role. My current job, I'm in logistics. I'm a product manager, but I'm in the sustaining side. I take care of all the weird stuff that happens in the factories and at the customer sites. I've seen the customer disasters before. I know what to do. I know when to react and how not to overreact. So a core learning, and I've mentioned this in the last video, was when I went to Israel after university. And the reason I went was twofold. My grandfather was Jewish, and he had been to Israel. He was very excited about going to Israel. And when he learned that I was interested, he was very encouraging and showed me what he knew about it. Secondly, my dad was a futures broker, which meant he traded commodities, not stocks and bonds, but commodities like gold, silver, lumber, currencies. The major industry in British Columbia is forestry, so he helped the lumber mills hedge their sales. There's a long story about hedging. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you look it up elsewhere. But the community of Jewish people in Vancouver in the 70s was very interested in the gold market, and my dad knew a lot of those people, and they were sending their sons and daughters to the kibbutzim in Israel. So a kibbutz was a collective farm. And yes, there's an element of communism, communal wealth. Everybody lived in the same kind of home, whether they were single or had 3 kids. Everybody ate the same meals. There was no real income except for a collective income. Everybody ate in a cafeteria. You knew each other. Upside was if you had 3-year-olds and they ran around and you lost sight of them, you didn't have to worry about it because you knew everybody in the kibbutz and they would be found by someone else and brought back home or play with someone else's kids. There's a downside. They didn't know how to run a business. They actually had a plywood business, which generated the most revenue for the kibbutz. It was primarily an agricultural kibbutz, bananas, oranges, avocados, grapes for wine. But the major revenue was from a plywood mill, and they're bringing the wood from East Africa around the Horn of Africa through the Straits of Gibraltar because they couldn't bring it through the Suez Canal for political reasons. And wow, that's a real challenge for a business to try and make a profit off of plywood with the lumber coming from so far away, but they were doing that. On the kibbutz, they were selling bacon in the store, which is a real revelation because I didn't come from a Jewish household, but I knew some things about Jewish people, and I thought Jewish people didn't eat bacon. And although it's in the laws, the kosher laws, not to eat pork products, they sold bacon in the store on the kibbutz. So there were people who were Jewish in Israel not living the kosher lifestyle. And that was their lives. They were living there. Am I the person to come and say, hey, you can't eat that. That's not kosher. That's not my role in life. My role there was to observe and learn. Just like my neighbor where I live in San Jose comes from communist China. His family made wealth from real estate in Shanghai. They bought the house for cash, and he grew up in a communist education. And now he's thriving here in California. Do I go next door and preach to him the attributes of capitalism versus communism? No, we get along and have a conversation about our rose bushes and the weather and what we did for fun and that sort of thing. So learning how people supposedly are in school and then seeing it in real life was very important, because in school the teachers have an agenda. They got to get through 2,000 years of history in 2 semesters, and they skirt a lot of stuff, and a lot of things are very easily explained in simple language that isn't always accurate. And so when you go and you travel and you see this stuff in real life, you realize, hey, these people are living here. No matter what you think they should be doing, they're doing what they're doing, and you're there to learn. So on the kibbutz, again, I was a supporting person. I wasn't the leader. I was someone who helped make things happen. We did a little play for Purim, which is their festival in April, around Easter time. And I wrote the little sketch and we performed it, and it was a lot of fun. And then we all had a good time. So I've learned that I have serious strengths in seeing a big picture, seeing what needs to be done, and helping people achieve their goals. I like to say that I help unusual people achieve their goals by supporting them with either documentation or logistics, which is what I've been doing for the last 30 years. So what are your strengths? How do you fit in? Have you tested it? Have you gone away from home, put yourself in an environment of strangers, and seeing how you fit in? If you haven't done that, you need to do that. You need to find out what your role is in society, but by how you fit in with a group of strangers. And then productively work with these people and achieve some results, whether it's social, spiritual, cultural, or even financial. And my aim right now is to achieve some financial results by taking advantage of my strengths to enable me to get what I want. Working in a corporation has been great for 25 years, and I've done a lot of good things, reached a point where I've been there, done that. Now I'd like to see what more I could do. I'm not looking for another job in another corporation. I'm looking to be a partner with people who have strong leadership skills, who are doing something new, and need someone like me who can handle the back end, the logistics, and the communications.